Welcome to Mentoring Moments. Mentoring Moments is a sub-series of the eCommerce Edge podcast. It is composed of clips taken from Jason's one-to-one and group mentorship sessions. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mentoring Moments. And I'm here with Andrew Kemp of Bearkind. We've been having a fantastic conversation today, and I felt like there was some things that he covered off in his agenda that will be super helpful and applicable to a much wider audience than just him or you, Andrew. And one of the things that you had raised was the fact that you've been doing some hard work over the last month around segmentation, in particular of your B2B customers. You got your D2C market and you got your B2B market, and you've been working real hard on the B2B side of the business. Now, the great thing about this is that you said to me, look, we've seen some commonalities between the retailers that we work with that are super successful with our products and the ones that are not. The ones that are the ones that carry the widest range of the products that we make. The ones that are not that successful are the ones that kind of cherry pick more, carry one or two products from the range. They don't carry the full range. They don't support us in the full range type of model. And I said, look, this is an amazing opportunity in two ways. First of all, it now allows you to create the perfect onboarding or starter pack for new retailers that take on your brand. They say, okay, cool. I don't want to go through your catalog and decide 2 of this and 2 of that and 5 of these and 6 of those. I don't want to think about it. I just want to buy a starter pack that I know is going to give me the best chance of being successful carrying your brand. So you've done all the hard work for them. You've done all the analysis. You've done all the BI. Now you create the perfect starter pack for them to kick off with. Now, maybe in month 2, month 3, month 4, maybe they got to refine that a little bit. Maybe they got to tweak that a little bit. Maybe they carry more of one than another. But in terms of a starter pack, like, you have all the data to back it up, and you can actually go to them and you can say, look, we've done all the research. Here's the research. I can show it to you, and I can show you exactly how and why, if you carry our full range, that you will be more successful with our brand than if you don't. Then you also said, look, we know that the bottom 10% of the brands that are not that successful with our brand right now, we can now go open a dialogue with them and we can say, we think we have a better viewpoint or a better understanding on why you are not seeing that much success with our brand, and we would like to help you. So maybe, even though you might have been buying from us for 6 months, maybe you take the starter pack in your next purchase, and let's see how we go with that, because we know this is going to help you be more successful. But it also allows you to have a dialogue with them about, okay, is it that we maybe need to do some new product development? Is it that you want us to expand into some adjacent categories that you think would be beneficial? I think it allows you to open a dialogue in ways that you cannot open a dialogue any other way. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I loved it. The main thing for us is it was like this segmentation. So what? Okay, great. We'll go speak to more people. We'll survey them. We'll inform our customers of what our best sellers are doing. But okay, actually, how do I put the rubber to the road for new sellers? And then as you were talking about it then as well, I was thinking, okay, it's the onboarding pack, but it's also the onboarding journey. So we send them a bunch of socks. They get 100 of our best selling socks across everything that might work for them or not work for them. They can test it out. They'll probably sell them all out. Then they can focus, which is what our best sellers do. And I'm already starting to think about, okay, we already send them all of our product photography, but let's do a video on, hey guys, welcome. Thanks so much for working with us. This is what our best sellers have in common, and just lay it all out as simple as possible. I like the kind of way, I think you were describing the other day. It was like, number 1, I could teach you to do it. Number 2, you could learn it. And then number 3 is actually, I could just do it for you straight away. And so how do I go to that do it for you model as well, which I think it could be quite cool.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're thinking about the onboarding experience for B2B customers just as thoroughly as you're thinking of your D2C customers. So you might have, for example, an onboarding flow in D2C world where the second email after somebody places an order it does no selling. It just introduces your brand. It has a video embedded in it that tells people, first of all, thank you for buying through us. We really appreciate it. This is what's important to us from a values perspective. This is how we give back. This is how we operate. This is how we select our charities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you're trying to build, most D2C brands are trying to build brand affinity through their emails and through their other content, not just hardcore sell. I think we lose track of that opportunity in B2B land lots of times. And I think we have exactly the same opportunity in B2B land of building brand affinity, of making people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, that they can actually tap into this ethos from you guys at point of sale, when they're discussing with customers around the product, when they're sending out emails to their own customers that purchase those products, they can forward on or embed those videos that you've provided to them. They can start embedding those into their own emails that they send out. So you're actually giving them all of the tooling that they need to live underneath the Bearkind brand halo. Because you're creating a halo for your brand. You're creating this social conscience halo over your brand. And you want the brands that carry your products to be able to live under that same halo. You want them to benefit from that same halo. So I think not only can you give them a fantastic onboarding experience, but you're going to give them all of the collateral they need to build brand affinity with their customers too. So I really like the way you're thinking about that.
Yeah, and then the other way that we were thinking about it as well was I kind of asked you that question around what are we going to be doing for Christmas and how are we thinking about what we've got in stock, what we've got out stock. And I was kind of sharing with you, Jason, that we've got, I guess, 400 different SKUs, 200 of them are in stock, 200 of them are not in stock. I've been tracking my conversion data. Actually, I didn't make this leap, but maybe do you want to share what you're talking about around the relationship between the conversion rate and our out of stock rates as well? Because I hadn't appreciated that.
Yeah, and you made a very good point to me because my first question to you was, what is your average unit count per order? And you said it's 2.5. So whether it's 2.5 of the same item or it's 1 and 0.5 of another item, whatever it is, we have on average 2.5 units per basket, right? Now, what happens when somebody comes to your website and when they're going to add the product to their cart, one of the products of the 2 or 3 items that they wanted to buy from you is now out of stock? It's highly unlikely that customer will still convert. They will abandon the entire cart. They will go to someone else that can supply the whole order for them, especially around holiday time when people are worried about getting stuff in time for their family, for their friends, for gifts, etc., etc. They will abandon the whole cart. They won't just abandon the item you do not have. And I have yet to see any brand that I work with that doesn't have a direct correlation between the percentage of their catalog that is out of stock at any given point in time and their conversion rate. And they're inversely correlated, meaning that the lower the catalog percentage you have in stock, the lower your conversion rate will be, the higher it will be. And so we see this, we know this because customers want things like to hit their free shipping threshold. They want their loyalty points. They want to be able to track one single shipment to their door. They want to support a brand where they can get a wide range of products. So we know that buyer psychology says, and I'm just speaking for myself, I do the exact same thing. If I go to a website and they've got 1 out of the 4 items that I'm going to buy, but another website has all 4, I'm gonna go with the one that has all 4 because it's just a hassle to split that order across two different websites. I want to make one purchase, track it all the way to my door, you get the benefits of shipping and everything else. And so I think for you guys, what you have to look at is you have to say, okay, maybe we're carrying a little bit more inventory into Christmas than what we would ideally like. But is it the right inventory? Because if it's the wrong inventory and you're out of stock of items that are top sellers going into Christmas, it's gonna inadvertently crucify your conversion rate across the whole range. So yeah, I would say, yeah, sure, maybe you're carrying too much inventory and maybe you'd like to have the cash flow back from that inventory. Totally understand. But because you guys are such a strong seasonal business and because like it's make or break, like Christmas time is when we need to make this happen. Socks and jocks, that's like the standard Christmas gift and it's just the way it is. We can't change human psychology on that one. No, I think you really have to take a very hard look at any products that have been out of stock for a while that are top sellers and say, look, we just have to bite the bullet. We're gonna have to put some cash into this. Maybe we don't go crazy, but let's make sure we have every single one of the top 25% of our best sellers in stock right throughout the whole of Christmas, no matter what we have to do that, because that's going to help you liquidate the remaining inventory that you already need to get rid of, whereas you won't sell that remaining inventory if that's all you have.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm just putting a note down. I just did an order maybe a month ago and I missed one. I was thinking, okay, I'll just wait until next year, but no, I need to get in for November, those kind of 4 or 5 top sellers that we're going to drop. That's really good. And then the other thing we were talking about, I showed you my year-end financials for the UK, or financial year, I should say. And we were doing like a line by line of what's working here, what's not working here. And I was sharing that we've got a really strong business, but we've been investing from a people perspective. And I liked what you were sharing around right now. Do you really want to be investing with people and how lean could you run this business?
And my point was, if you haven't already, and this applies to everybody running a lean startup, if you've never explored just how lean you can be, you will never know. So my
Yeah.
business, when I years and years ago, when I had my own e-commerce pure play with one business partner, similar to how you have one business partner, we were running $1 million a year business with two people. So we had a contract programmer that was maintaining and looking after our website, and we'd get him in to do specific pieces of work, but he was not an employee. He was on contract. We paid him an hourly rate when we needed him, and everything else we did ourselves. So my business partner was part of contract negotiation, supply chain, that whole thing. That was his whole bag, and he 100% owned that. I 100% owned e-commerce. So I owned all of our PC. I owned all of our content marketing. I owned all of our SEO. I owned all of the tech, basically anything to do with the e-commerce side of the business and the technology stack and how we got products out the door to our customers and communicated with them throughout that process. That was 100% me. So we had that real clear division of labor within the business because that's what he was good at and that was what I was good at. And I would just love to see you guys explore how lean you could be, because the other thing I said was, look, I've had enough conversations with you guys now to know you guys are super smart, you're super driven, you're super focused, you have the social conscience that it's the heart of your business. And I think you guys can actually take on more things than what you think you can. And I said, look, maybe you need to do an audit because you probably don't track time because you're not an employee, you're an owner. You probably don't track time. And so you don't necessarily have a really clear accounting. Do I spend on average 20 hours a week on this business? Or do I spend an average of 60 hours a week on this business? I don't know, because half the time I'm working at midnight because that's just what owners do. And then the other half the time I'm working middle of the day. So we as owners oftentimes don't fully appreciate how much time we're actually putting into our businesses. And so if for no other reason to get a better handle on what your availability looks like, maybe you need to track your time against the business on specific functions for 1 month. It will only take you a month. So track your time for 1 month, look at what you do from a task perspective, look at how much time it takes you, and then factor in at least another 25% to that if you outsource it. Because no one's going to be as efficient at this as you, because it's your business, right? And they're not going to be as clear about how to do things. And so you will lose about 25% efficiency for anything you outsource, and you just have to accept that as a cost of doing business. But I think as of right now, in mid 2023, this is the perfect opportunity to see just how lean you guys can get because you're skilled. And I just think you can own more things than you think you can own because you guys are good at what you do.
No, I really appreciate that, Jason. I think it's a good push. We need to be thinking about how can we really leverage our impact to donate more money to charities and all around the world. That the main thing for us is how can we increase our profit that then goes across to them. So I think we've got a lot of room for improvement there. And that was awesome guidance. Thank you.
No worries. And look, I think that you'll always have time in the future to outsource. But once you've got this absolutely nailed down of your daily, weekly, monthly tasks that you own between the two of you and split between the two of you, then it's going to be much, much easier at that point to peel little layers of that off like an onion, peel little layers of that off and give it to somebody else, but also be able to have the monitoring in place to make sure that person is performing well for your business because you've done it, you've owned it. And we talked about the fact that there are certain things that you will likely never own, and that's okay, because my suggestion was double down on your strengths, don't waste time on your weaknesses. So you said, look, we're not creatives, we're not designers, we're not going to do the creative parts of the website, we're not going to do the graphic design, we're not going to do the campaign creative. That's not us. We're not good at that. We're not artists, right? And I said, that's fine. Don't take that on, because not only will it take you longer and you'll be super inefficient at it, but the quality will be poor. And so therefore it won't represent your brand well. But what you can do is double down on the stuff that you're already good at, that you know you're good at. So double down on that. Only outsource the stuff that you literally, if you were at a 2 at that thing today. So let's say from a graphic design perspective, you guys are a 2. Even if you put a year into that and dedicated your time to it, became an expert on Photoshop, for example, you might get to a 4 or you might get to a 5. You're never going to be a 10. And so I think that if you're a 6 at something or 7 at something today, if you double down on that over the next 12 months, you could get to a 9 or you could get to a 10. Yeah. And then that level of efficiency moves the needle in a massive way in your business.
No, I love that. Thanks, Jason. It was an awesome session today as well.
I'm here with Adam, Lyndall, and Adam, and this is one of our one-to-one mentorship sessions, and they had a really solid agenda this week with some items on it that I think will benefit a lot of you out there in business doing some of the similar things to what they're doing. And I don't need to go into huge amounts of detail here, but basically they're in the process of building a back office technology for e-commerce merchants and other people in the industry that they're playing in. And they are going to, as a first cab off the rank, they are going to be creating an app that plugs into e-commerce websites to allow customers to find compatibility of products to go with the products that they already own. So you can almost think of it like search and merge technology, but it's more of a product configurator or a product finder than a search and merge technology. But they were really struggling initially with, okay, we could have several different commercial models wrapped around this app, but ultimately our app is designed to help merchants to convert more, to convert faster and easier by allowing their users of their websites to find the products that are useful to them faster and easier and are compatible with the items that they already have. And so we talked about, okay, do we want to charge on a flat API access basis, that every API call has a fee and maybe we got tiers of a certain number of calls per month, and that's how the e-commerce merchant pays? Or do we look at some other commercial model, and what would one of those other commercials possibly look like? And my advice to these guys was, look, if you're talking to e-commerce merchants about an app that you're trying to sell them, and it's effectively a conversion enhancement app, ultimately is what it results in, then you're not going to be talking to the IT team. You're not going to be talking to technical people that necessarily even understand API calls. And usually when a new app like this comes to market, the people inside the business who are making the ultimate decision about whether to install this app and use it are either the e-commerce manager or the marketing manager, or some combination thereof. And sometimes the e-commerce manager will sit under the marketing manager or vice versa. But what my suggestion was, no, let's perhaps look at either a tiered pricing model where we contribute to a certain number of conversions within a given tier, and that's how much we charge you. Or let's look at a model where we charge you, much like any SaaS platform out there, we're going to charge you a minimum fixed monthly fee to access our app, to access our application on our backend services as a base SaaS fee. And then let's charge additionally for every conversion that we directly contribute to. So people have to use our technology. They have to do a search through our technology. They have to get effectively a search results page through our technology. They add those products to their cart and they check out with those products that our platform recommended for them as being a good fit for them. And so we can directly follow that. We can directly follow, okay, this person, this user of this website, they were exposed to our search technology. They got a result. They added a product from those results to their cart. They checked out and they paid for that product in a linear fashion, directly from using our technology to paying for a product that our technology recommended. And so my suggestion was, look, this puts skin in the game for you guys to continue to enhance and extend the platform to create a really good user experience for people that are using e-commerce websites that interact with your interface, your widget effectively. And it allows you to charge this really base nominal fee that allows the brands that work with you to scale as they grow, and your revenue scales as they grow. So as they convert more based on your technology, because they're getting more traffic to their website, they're getting more customers to their website, then there's more opportunities for your technology to be used and for your technology to add to their conversion rate, to improve their conversion rate. And so it felt that was a more logical place to land, because the budget for your type of technology is going to come from e-commerce marketing, and those people they're concerned about, okay, how can we convert more? How can we take customers that we're paying oftentimes a significant fee to Google or Facebook to get to our website in the first place? How can we make sure we're presenting the perfect fit product for them as often as possible, so that when they convert, they first of all, to get them to convert faster because they have more trust that we're recommending the right product. But secondarily, we're going to also likely dramatically reduce our returns rates because we're actually recommending the right product that's actually going to work for them. And secondarily, we're probably going to have less queries to our customer service team, less phone calls, less live chats, less emails to say, okay, I've got this thing. I need this thing to go with it. Tell me which one fits for me. So it feels like you're going to be improving multiple metrics for them. You're going to be reducing return rates. You're going to be reducing contacts to customer service, and you're going to be creating a much, much better experience for the customer in the first instance, the moment they hit the website. So it feels, because you're going to be improving conversions and you're going to be directly assisting customers to buy the right product, that felt like a better place to land. But that necessarily brought up the question, okay, what about brands that work with us that don't have an e-commerce website, And therefore, they're not consuming our service in pursuit of a website conversion. That's not why they're consuming our service for their service teams, their tech teams, or some other reason. They're going to be using our technology for some other reason other than selling stuff online, right? So therefore, now how do we charge? Cool. For those type of people that are building maybe custom apps to consume your technology, then fine. Then an API level service makes sense, right? So for every number of query or for certain tiers of numbers of queries a month, then you charge them a certain fee. So that model makes sense. But I guess the conclusion that we came to is not necessarily is one commercial model going to work for every single segment of customers that you're going to be servicing. So maybe you can give me your thoughts and feedback on kind of that. We went around the horn a couple of times to spitball this, but how did you guys think of this once we had that discussion around who is actually going to be buying your technology for e-commerce?
Yeah, I guess for us it was a discussion around, initially we'd wanted to be this inert service in the background that provided this service to the industry that we're looking at. And I guess it hadn't occurred to us that by potentially having that low barrier to entry of the base service fee and then adding to that some sort of version-based fee might increase the uptake of our product as it happens. And so for us, I guess, weighing those two things up, and it may even be a situation where we introduce an initial model for the beta testing until the product is fully fleshed out and provided across the entire breadth of the website, that then we change model to add to that, I guess, that revenue share model. But yeah, it's over something else to think about.
Yeah, and look, I think the other couple of things we discussed is the fact that this rev share model is pretty common amongst conversion enhancement technology, right? So if we look at across all the different technologies that, for example, are in the Shopify App Store, if we think about just them alone, lots of search and merch technology, lots of personalization technology works on this revenue share model, right? They charge usually a base fee just for the base hosting costs, the base infrastructure costs of running the service. And then they say, we've got skin in the game because we want to help you convert more, faster, and better. And therefore, we're going to clip the ticket on that. So we're going to track through the usage of our app. Okay, we recommended this product. You added it to your cart. You checked out with it. You paid for it. And so we're gonna for every direct conversion of a SKU that we helped you convert, we're gonna take a small rev share, like almost like a small commission for helping you sell that product. And this is a well understood model, I think, by merchants. And it's well understood by platform vendors that say, look, we want to continue improving this product over time. We want to continue adding features and functions to it over time. But how do we take that into account with our pricing model? Anything that you add that helps people convert more and convert better and convert faster and creates a better customer experience on the front end, then that automatically means that you're going to contribute to more conversions and therefore you're going to contribute to a larger rev share for you. And look, I think this model is the skin in the game model. Merchants really understand that. Sometimes they feel like they're being a little bit nickel and dime to death by every app out there that's helping them in some small way. They'd rather sometimes pay a flat fee, but it's a well understood model, and they understand why platforms like yours need to have skin in the game to continue to enhance and extend the product over time. So I feel like this is a well-trodden path. I feel like you're not breaking any new ground here, but what you're doing is you're tailing on to a model that's already well understood by e-commerce managers, marketing managers, et cetera, that are out there working in the market. So I think that will increase uptake of the platform and make it super easy from a pricing model perspective for you guys to be able to deliver, because you're going to want to deliver the statistics, at least in a basic way. We talked about this too, that in the app backend, you're going to want to have a pretty simple dashboard. Regardless of the model, you're going to want to prove to these merchants how you're contributing to improving their business. So you're going to say, okay, this is the number of pages or sessions or whatever that our platform was loaded on. This is the number of times that was interacted with and utilized by a visitor to the site. And this is the number of times that it resulted in a conversion from the results that we recommended. The products that we recommended resulted in this number of conversions. So at least at a very basic level, you're going to want to present this in a mini dashboard in the app admin on the back end. And if you're going to go that far, and that really is the goal of the platform, and that's really the benefit that it brings, why not tie the commercials to that value? Then you raise the fact that, hey, we have an opportunity to go to market faster with our platform than what we would if we did everything ourselves. There's a data source that we can bring into our platform that will allow us to get to market faster. But should we access that data source from a third party, or should we do all the work ourselves to generate that data in the first place? And I said, look, your core value proposition isn't going out and collecting this data, cleansing this data, harmonizing this data, and syncing this data. That's not your core value prop. Your core value prop is the data that you would collect in this model, and then what you add to it and how you enhance it and how you surface that to the customer on the front end of the website, that's your value prop. So anything that will allow you to get to delivering that value prop faster is a win, so long as you protect yourself from that data vendor then maybe going out and working with potential competitors of yours, or maybe even helping competitors with the ideation of this. So long as you have both a mutual NDA in place, non-disclosure agreement, to where everything that you talk about and share with each other is completely protected from an NDA perspective, mutual non-disclosure agreement. And then two, as long as that's also backed up by a contract. So let's say hypothetically, you decide to give them an equity share in your company because they're going to become the essential core data service provider to you guys. So let's say you say, look, we're going to give you a bit of a rev share in the business because you're now going to become one of our core data set providers that we will have and we will utilize on an ongoing basis. So we don't have to go out and do that manually ourselves or programmatically ourselves. But as a result of that, we're going to write it into our contractual agreement that you cannot share this data with any other people working in our space or competitors or would-be or potential competitors in our space. So they cannot use your data in a similar way. You'll want to really clearly delineate what that means. That's going to have to be crystal clear, and I would suggest getting a lawyer involved to try to protect everybody's best interests. But secondarily, I suggested that anything you can do to feel like anybody you work with, whether that's a customer or a strategic partner like this, because these guys would become a strategic partner in your business. They would become a data service provider of the core data that you use to build your logic on top of. They become core. They become really important to your business. They become strategically critical to your business. And so anything you can do to help them feel like they're getting more than they're giving, that is always going to play in your favor, because that sense of reciprocity, that sense of indebtedness, that sense of needing to give you more over time because you are giving them such a sweet deal, whether it's because of the amount of equity you give them or because you're so easy to work with and it means so much to them commercially in terms of the monthly fee or however you ultimately pay them. Just ensure that they feel like they're getting more out of this deal than they're giving. And that is going to work in your favor over the long term. And I use me as an example with my services that I give to my clients. I always want them to feel like they're getting an absolute steal. I want them to feel like they were lucky to find me and lucky to be able to work with me. And I always want them to feel like they are getting way more in return than they ever have to give in terms of payment, commercials, etc. Maybe talk a little bit about how you got to this place of even considering these guys as a strategic partner. And then secondarily, some of the concerns that maybe you had initially that maybe we were able to work through to give you some level of confidence that this is something worthy of pursuing.
Yeah, I guess for us, we had considered that the only real way to gather the data that we need was to gather it from the source and gather it ourselves, and we could provide the level of granularity and detail that we needed that nobody else can yet provide. But I guess what we've now considered since having a second conversation with the data source is that potentially they can provide us with 80% of the information that we need, and we then just have to go and add the other 20% on top. What it means to us is that, as you say, we can get to market sooner, but we can get to market with a set of customers. They can find the right part that they need for their product that they have. And so for us, we saw the benefits to this being able to go to market faster and being able to go to market with a broader product offering. And I guess we saw the benefit when we started considering the idea of a strategic partnership and what that might add to our ability to focus on what we primarily do, which is a different source of data and focusing on the functionality of providing the service in terms of compatibility and fit. And so the idea now of outsourcing something that's not part of our core to somebody for whom that is their primary focus is appealing. And I think we're aware now of the upsides, and we're just waiting for the red flag. We're waiting for oh no, that's a really bad idea. Don't ever do that. Don't put your eggs in that basket. And so I guess highlighting and articulating the precautions that we probably take and make sure are in place to protect ourselves has been incredibly valuable. And I think that's what we'll end up looking to do moving forward, is just proceed, but be aware of adding those constraints to prevent them
Yeah, and I think you mentioned, look, this data vendor wants to ensure, they want to put a contract in place that ensures, for example, that you're not just going to on-sell that data, right, to
Yep.
your customers, that you're going to only use that data for internal use, that your logic that you sit on, the business logic and the matching logic that you sit on top of their data is the value prop for your customers. And your business model is targeting a totally different customer base than what they're targeting with their data. So they're not targeting the same customers you're targeting, and you're targeting customers also with a completely different value proposition. So if we think about what you guys do, almost, when someone logs into eBay and they're trying to find a auto part for their 1976 Citroen, whatever it is, right? We can think of your service as being similar to that, but not in the automotive category, in a completely different category. But we can think of your service as being very similar. And so we can think of your service, the raw source of data, being almost like that fitment service for vehicles. They need a raw source of the vehicle data itself, and they need a raw source for the parts data itself. So them being able to do the cross matching of this part fits this vehicle, that's the value add, not the raw vehicle data and not the raw parts data. And in your case, it's exactly the same. Your logic is the value that you add is the actual fitment, the cross referencing ability for the customer on the front end who's saying, I've got this thing and I need to fit a part to it. I don't know which part to fit because I don't know which one will work. Your logic is the value add that allows them to make that connection. And so I think that this is a really valuable thing for businesses to understand. You've got to be crystal clear on what your value proposition is. And if you can do something somewhere else in the business that allows you to deliver that core value proposition sooner, faster, more efficiently, more accurately, then you got to look at that really seriously, because going out and collecting a whole bunch of data and cleansing it, that's not part of your, not only is it not part of your value proposition, but it isn't even really a core competency of you guys. Yeah, you can do it and you could probably get pretty good at it, but that's not even really a core competency yet in the business. So if you can outsource that to somebody else who that is already their core competency and they're already doing it and they're demonstrating competency in that data space, then man, why wouldn't we want to aggregate that data?
Yeah, I guess the other bonus, I guess, is that they're operating in the same industry in a similar space, but not the same space, and so they've already got an established network of connections within their country. We've potentially got tie-ins with their product, and there may even be a route where we can provide our service to them so that they can provide it to their customers and partner in that way and add that value to them potentially and increase the skin in the game there, so to speak.
There's a well-trodden path to this model, right, where it's effectively a white label model. If we think of Tech Alliance, Tech Packs, Tech Docs, right, they are providing a white label service to eBay. So everybody who logs into eBay and is looking for auto parts, they think that's an eBay service. It's not. It's a third-party service that they surface via API through the eBay interface, but they've effectively white labeled it. And so that's why when people go to search for auto parts, they usually don't go to Amazon. They go to eBay instead, because Amazon doesn't have that cross-referencing fitment capability that eBay does. But eBay didn't go out and build that from scratch. They had a third party that already offered this service, and they've effectively white labeled it. But that's adding value to everybody who uses eBay. So it makes sense that they would be happy to commercially pay Tech Alliance for that data and for that interface. They would happily pay for that because it drives more people to the eBay website for auto parts than it does, for example, to their key competitor, Amazon. And so I can totally see a model whereby effectively this company that provides you core data, they can potentially white label your service and then on-sell additional services on top of that back to their existing target customer base and say, look, you guys could use this data in this way that you don't today. So yeah, look, I think the word synergy is heavily overused, but this is truly a scenario where 1 + 1 might actually equal 3, right? Instead of 2. So this could actually end up being a win, meaning win for them, win for you, but ultimately a win for the end user of your services, because that means that data and that the breadth of compatibility that you can provide is huge out of the gate, as opposed to maybe one category to begin with and then 2 categories, 3 categories, 4 categories, or adding categories over the next 5 years. If you can go to market with 50 categories out the gate with this supplementary data source, then man, that feels like you're building a moat to your competitors coming into the space pretty damn quick.
Yeah, and for us, it definitely means that we can go to market, as you say, using the analogy of a vehicle parts finder, we can go to market with more vehicles in the database. And so that to us is essentially whether we succeed or don't succeed in being able to serve a customer, because we have no control over who is going to use our service, and we need to be able to, as broad or the number of vehicles certainly helps us do that.
100%. Thanks, guys, for always coming with a cracking agenda with some questions that always make me think and always make me dig deep. And this is, I think, super helpful. And so I thank you guys for being willing to share with the broader audience from your experiences as a brand new startup that's making some damn good progress towards getting your MVP, your minimum viable product, out there in the market for some beta testing. It's really exciting to watch your progress. So I really appreciate you guys working with me.
We love you, Jason. We appreciate your help, and your insights are always valued.
If you'd like to get mentored by Jason for free, head over to greenwoodconsulting.net, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click Get Mentored by Jason.